Welcome to our latest Motorize.dd feature. Today we're taking a close look at the Yamaha XT350, the slim middleweight enduro that blends trail DNA with daily commuting. We'll focus on the air-cooled 346cc 4-valve single with Yamaha's YDI's 2-stage carburetor, primary for part throttle, secondary under load, the close ratio 6-speed gearbox, and the monocross rear suspension. Stock spec: 21-inch front, 18-inch rear, disc up front, drum out back. About 27 here, pushing roughly 123 kms dry. We'll show what it does well, where it can be a pain, cracked intake boots, finicky cold starts, and who it's for. Plus, smart upgrades: stainless braided brake line, progressive fork springs, 14-tooth front sprocket, and current market value. Most sit around €2,000 to €4,000. Presented by Motorize.de, your #1 source for new and used parts. And yes, you'll be kicking it to life. History and development. In 1985, Yamaha introduced the XT350 as the missing link between the XT250 and XT600, light, street-legal, and surprisingly capable off-road. At its core was a DOHC 4-valve single with Wise twin carburetors, paired with a 6-speed gearbox and monocross rear suspension. Through its production run into the late 1990s, 2000 in some markets, the formula barely changed. Updates mostly touched graphics, carb tuning, and small hardware. Signature features included a 12-liter tank, a tall 885mm seat height, and 21 18-inch wheels. One thing that never changed: no electric start. That less is more approach made the XT350 a long-lived workhorse in Yamaha's enduro lineage. Key specs: the XT350 runs a 346C air-cooled DOHC single with 4 valves, 86.0 by 59.6mm bore and stroke, 9:1 compression, fed by a Taikei Wide S twin carb. The vacuum-controlled secondary only comes in at higher revs. Depending on the market, it makes around 30 horsepower at about 8,000 RPM, German models often 27 up, paired with a close ratio 6-speed gearbox. A dry sump with oil in the frame improves cooling and ground clearance, all carried by a steel double cradle frame. Suspension is a conventional fork with roughly 220mm of travel and a monocross rear with about 200mm. Brakes are a front disc and rear drum with 21 18-inch wheels. Fuel tank 12 liters, seat height about 885mm, dry weight around 120 to 123 kilograms. Practical touches include screw and lock nut valve adjusters and a standard kickstarter. Visually, the XT350 wears the angular late 80s enduro look. Flat headlight cowl, high fender, slim side panels. Its narrow 12-liter tank and long, almost level seat give you plenty of room to move, seated or standing. Despite an 885mm seat height, the narrow waist makes it easy to get feet on the ground. A wide steel handlebar, neutrally positioned pegs, and 21 18-inch wheels boost control off-road. A stock skid plate shields the crankcase and lower frame rails, and the double cradle steel frame shrugs off hits. Handy touches: a kickstarter with automatic decompression and no electric start battery to worry about. Disc up front, drum out back, plus a 6-speed box, everything built for durability. At about 133 kilograms ready to ride, it's easy to maneuver. Handling and everyday practicality. From the saddle, the 350 feels nimbler than the spec sheet suggests. The 21 18-inch wheels keep it stable over edges and ruts, yet it tips eagerly into tight back streets. The 4-valve single responds cleanly to the throttle. With 6 gears, you can choose between quick squirts and laid-back cruising. Higher up the revs, it gets vibey, as singles do, so endless highway isn't its home turf. Brakes: a well-modulated disc up front, a sturdy drum at the rear. Confidence inspiring in the dry, and in the wet they reward a gentle touch. Cold starts want a bit of choke and a quick ritual. Warm, one committed kick is enough. Long travel suspension smooths out dirt roads, but the narrow seat asks for a brake after about 100 kilometers. Practical touch: a classic fuel tap with a reserve position makes keeping tabs on range easy. Strengths and highlights: the XT350 wins you over with honest engineering and surprising versatility. Its 346cc DOHC single revs eagerly yet stays tractable down low, perfect for hairpins and easy trails. The monocross rear is supple and the long telescopic fork inspires confidence on loose terrain. A close ratio 6-speed keeps the engine in the sweet spot without ever feeling frantic. A real advantage: a dry sump, oil in frame design. better oil circulation, a lower profile engine, and extra ground clearance. Add 21 18-inch wheels for sure-footed tracking off-road, plus the TK-Weiss twin-carb setup for crisp throttle response. Rounding it out are a nimble chassis, low running costs, and robust electrics with solid-state CDI. Substance over gimmicks. Weak points and common issues. Age takes its toll on the intake. Cracked boots cause vacuum leaks. The TK-Weiss twin-carb, XT643F vs 2KF, tends to develop a flat spot when the secondary opens if the vacuum linkage is worn or the diaphragms are perished. A frequent failure is the heat-soaked pickup pulsar coil on the stator. It runs fine cold, then dies hot with no spark. The dry sump with its frame-mounted oil tank invites misreads. Check the oil level only when hot after a brief idle on the dipstick. Overfilling will flood the airbox. On the braking front, the rear drum is the limiting factor in the wet and on long descents. Fork seals, swing arm bearings, and cush drive rubbers age out. Valve clearance is set by screw and lock nut, durable but fiddly. A stock muffler and intact side covers are scarce and expensive. Less show, more substance. A matched jet kit and a legal, lightweight muffler, for example a Super Trap with insert, wake up the XT350's TK-Weiss setup, 346cc 6-speed with a noticeably snappier throttle. The key is spot-on synchronization of the primary 26mm and secondary 30mm carbs. Up front, a braided stainless line and sintered pads sharpen the brake. Out back, the drum keeps its character. For range, fit a Clark 4.0 gal, while a 15-liter tank instead of the 12-liter stocker. Progressive wound fork springs and a YSS or Hagon shock, plus correctly set sag, give you real suspension headroom. Wider IMS pegs, sturdy handguards, and a Renthal aluminum bar improve control when you're up on the pegs. More trail traction comes from dropping the front sprocket from 15 to 14 teeth. Add a luggage rack and a small screen, and the XT350 turns into a light, tough travel bike. Market value and buying checklist. Well-kept, honest XT350s typically fetch $2,000 to $3,500. Very original, low-mile bikes can bring $4,000 to $800. When viewing, check the intake boots for cracks and make sure the Weiss twin carb is properly synchronized. The secondary carb should only open under load. Test warm starts via kickstarter and decompression lever. Misfires often point to the pickup/CDI. Listen for cam chains, tensioner rattle, look for weeping fork seals, and assess the rear drum brake's behavior in the wet. Inspect spokes and rim beds, 18-inch rear, 21 inches front, tires 120/80/18 and 90/90/21, and feel the steering head bearings for play or notchiness. Check the swing arm linkage and the chain guide. Verify oil level the dry sump way. Warm the engine, let it idle briefly, then rest the dipstick on the threads. Don't screw it in. Nice to haves: original muffler, undamaged side panels, complete skid plate. Wear parts are easy to source. Rare OEM add-ons, turn signals, mirrors, luggage rack, push the price up. Use that in your negotiation. Verdict and buying advice. The XT350 isn't a retro showpiece. It's a friendly, get-it-done tool. 346cc 4-valve SOHC single with widest, about 27 6-speed, 21 18-inch wheels, and roughly 121 kilograms dry. It loves back roads, farm tracks, and easy trails. Endless motorway slogs or heavy 2-up duty, not so much. Classic XT touches, kickstart only, a 12-liter tank and a front disc rear drum brake setup. Seat height around 885mm. If you're after an honest, lightweight all-rounder, you'll be happy, provided the intake system and CDI are healthy. Our recommendation: look for well-kept examples with crack-free intake boots, a properly synced YDS twin carb, sound swing arm and steering head bearings, and documented maintenance, valve clearances, air filter, chain and sprockets. Get that right, and an XT350 will run more reliably than its age suggests, and it delivers on the promise of Yamaha DNA.